Will, do you remember that time when me and Taryn beat you in NCAA football?
Let's not talk about that.
Oh,
Oh
interesting segue. Guess what it
man.
was last week? The
Oh.
FBS. Okay, Keith, take us away.
Oh
All right.
wait.
Take us
Speaking of
away.
NCAA football, obviously it was about 6 days ago, but national championship happened.
Ugh.
Nobody was gonna beat Bama. I don't think any. Maybe
Called it.
last year's LSU team is the only other team that could have kept up with that team. They're the only team in
Justin Jefferson?
NCAA history to go undefeated with an All SEC record. Yeah, that was a rough game
But
to
didn't
watch.
Ohio State have a few players out because of COVID issues as well?
Yeah,
Few.
so
3 starters, I think.
I'll let Alex take it away because he knows Ohio State more than I do, and he said he has.
Bama had a couple players out too in the second half. I know that. for
Okay.
sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, it is.
Yeah, no, it hurt them
just
too.
a few.
Go ahead, Alex.
It kind of sucked because like we were in that game up until like halfway through the second quarter. I think is when Alabama started to take off.
I thought
But
you
then
were
we
asking-
came out in the second half and like we had chances to score and bring the game close. And the biggest thing that killed us was that we made no defensive adjustments. And I kind of defended Coombs pretty hard in text against Will. But then I was like, wait, Ohio State is about greatness. And like we want to put the best on the field and we need to make those adjustments if we want to be winning 7 national championships like Nick Saban and like Ryan Day wants to have that kind of tenure at Ohio State. Like our DC needs to make those adjustments. Devonta Smith didn't even play the whole second half. Yeah.
But to add to Alex's point, me and Will, we were sitting there watching the game, remember? And we said we saw one play where the safety, the tight end was wide open, remember? And they ran the exact same route and play for the tight end, and they hit him because they were like, "Oh, this safety's sinking down. He's going to the receiver. He's not looking at you. That's a wide." And they did it. Me and Will were literally, it was like, "Oh, what, two,
And not
three
only
plays
that,
later?"
but the orbit fucking sorry for my language,
No,
but the
go ahead.
orbit screen pass that he kept throwing to Devontae, like it was so obvious.
Just saying, like, to that. I think there was a linebacker chasing Devonta on that orbit screen at one point. That was the one that was like a
Absolutely.
60-yard touchdown.
How does that happen?
It was like, as a
That's
coach,
a
if
4-5
you're
versus
just,
a
like,
4-3, by
telling-
the way.
If
Yeah.
you're just telling
That's
your guy
165
like,
versus 250, by the way.
hey, he's just faster and better than you. Good luck. Like, I'm not gonna do anything for you. Like, what kind of coach are you at that point?
I'm here for
That's
you.
Yeah,
the
and that's the hardest part is Kerry Coombs is a great coach, great defensive coach, but he didn't do anything to help us succeed.
What do you guys think about him drawing? A lot of people are comparing him to Jerry Rice. You guys see it?
I
He's going
guess
first round. He's not going undrafted though.
That's
True.
what Jerry Rice
Jerry
did.
Rice wasn't undrafted.
Yeah.
Or was he? He wasn't undrafted. Was he like 4th round or
He
5th
was
round?
late though.
Jerry Rice was a 22nd pick, bud.
Was he? Fact check.
Oh my god, I mixed up Rod Smith. Rod Smith was undrafted Bronco. I compared Rod Smith and Jerry Rice in my head.
It's,
Honestly, Devonta Smith is a lot faster and a better athlete than Jerry Rice. Jerry's magic was he's like the best route runner ever.
but also Jerry
Which is
played at a
It's
time.
a trade secret. It's a
Yeah.
trade secret now that's exposed to everybody. Like you got Devontae
Yeah.
Smith and Stephon Diggs who combo route running with speed and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff nowadays. And then you got soccer players who come into NFL game nowadays and are excellent route runners to their own. But it's not like you. It's also it's a big thing to be an excellent route runner. But kind of how Keith was saying, Devontae Smith he's a lot faster. So who's you guys' top 3 receivers in the NFL up to this point right now all time?
All time. Whoa.
Well, so
All time.
all receivers right now is what you're asking.
All receivers up to this exact point.
Top
what is your
3.
All time, you said.
all time.
Trey, I mean, you're coming up with it, so who's your top 3? You go first.
My time
Boy.
to shine.
Randy Moss,
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson, and Odell Beckham.
A lot of silence. No one believed you.
Trey's a troll. Troll Trey.
Nah, Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is still number 3 for me, but I put those 2 over for sure. I mean, it's hard to argue Jerry Rice's success and his stats and what he did and like how he changed the game for himself. But Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson they're different breeds. Like
Agreed.
absolutely. Like I think Calvin Johnson should be inducted into Hall of Fame even if he played a shortened career. But he made an impact and an impact well.
He changed the game.
I
I
literally
like
was
T.O.
saying
Not a
Randy
bad pick.
Moss. It's
Not
Randy
a bad
Moss,
pick.
Rice, and T.O.
Okay.
Not a
Jeff, how
bad
about
pick.
you?
I'm gonna go with Terrence, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, and T.O. Not in that order. I think Jerry Rice is probably the best ever.
Will?
Damn.
Yeah,
really,
I
Jeff?
definitely am
Hold
going
on.
Calvin Johnson. I mean, not in this order, but Calvin Johnson, Jerry Rice, as well as Randy Moss. I mean, Randy Moss, I can't get over the fact that he was like a 3-sport varsity athlete all of high school, put Marshall on the map. Like, he's just
Marshall.
honestly the best receiver of all time to me. Number
Like
one.
he was. This is how he was a game changer, stuff like that. Like he would sit there, run his routes, and he'd tell his quarterback, "If I put my hand up, just throw the ball."
Throw that
And he
bad
would be
boy.
not even looking back. He's just like,
He
"Yo,
just did
raise his
this.
hand," and they just tossed it down to. And he's like,
What?
"I make the
Alex,
catch."
who's your
Get
top
that
three?
shit.
2016 with Tom Brady.
David Tyree for the
Cap.
helmet catch.
Cap.
Just kidding, no.
Cap. Hella cap. Not to be rude, but you can just leave, sir.
Okay, see you guys. See you next week.
Try again.
No, it's the same as Trey's, but I think it's Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and Calvin Johnson. I love Calvin Johnson, even at Georgia Tech. Like the incredible things he did for a team that didn't throw the ball really ever.
I got yours, Taryn.
So
Where
we're
do we
split.
Calvin
It sounds like
Johnson's
we're
right
split.
there, but
Right there.
Terrell Owens
Sounds
the
like
best
three of us
athlete.
are smarter than the other three. That's what
True
it sounds like.
sport.
Everybody put in the
Agreed.
comments and vote who's smarter. It's gonna be obviously me, Jeff, and Keith. Clearly.
Mer.
Mind you, there's only one quarterback in that and two receivers that actually we played the positions called. We all picked the same. We all picked the same three.
Wow, Trey, you can't be going at Jeff like that. Just because he started
know
and
that
he was out instantly doesn't mean anything. Trey, he still played.
Jeff's like Julian
Will
Edelman.
plays quarterback.
and,
He knows what factors apply and stuff
He
like
gave
that.
a
and
concussion
Alex,
to our best tackle.
Real recognizes real. That's all it comes down to. We
I
recognize
heard
the
Jeff's favorite
real.
receivers are Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, and Steve Largent.
There you go. That's a good one.
Wait,
Oh
Steve
my
who? Steve Largent, he said?
Fair enough. Moving
Good
on.
lord.